Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome back to another integrated science class. It is nice to see you here looking bright, beautiful, and ready to learn. Let's get into today's lesson. Here, I have 4 pictures showing different scenarios, and I would like you to tell me what you would have observed, in these pictures after 1 minute. Now take a minute and observe the pictures. Good. I trust that you would have all observed the picture. Now let's hear from Michael. Michael, what did you observe from the pictures? Yes, you see a factory spewing smoke and dumping green stuff into a river. Okay. What else did you observe about the pictures? You're seeing fishes swimming in garbage water. Okay, that's correct. What else are you seeing? You're seeing the earth crying. Yes, the earth is crying, but why do you think the earth is crying? Because it is nasty? Okay. And why do you think the earth is nasty? Because you're seeing black dots on there? Okay. Very valid point. However, there is something tying all of these pictures together. And what can that be? Yes, Susan, let's hear from you. The garbage. Yes, and what makes you think that there is garbage in these pictures? Okay, you're seeing a picture with a bin, garbage under a tree, garbage in water, good point, but there is something else going on here. Yes, Erica, tell us. There is pollution. Very good. Give yourself a clap, Eric. Now, does everyone see pollution occurring in all these pictures? So you agree with Erica that there is pollution occurring in all these pictures. Very good. So that there would have derived our topic for today. Our topic for today is pollution. So we will be looking at pollution. Now, before we go further into our lesson, we have to look at the objectives of the lesson. And our objectives for the lesson are to define the term pollution, state at least 3 types of pollution and identify and list possible sources, effects, and solutions to pollution in the environment. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to define the term pollution, state at least 3 types of pollution, and identify and list possible sources, effects, and solutions to pollution. Now, what is pollution? Can anybody tell me? Yes, Joseph, let me hear from you. The dumping of garbage in the area? Correct, give yourself a little clap. Now let's look at the definition for pollution. It is saying that pollution, also called environmental pollution, is the addition of any substance, whether it be a solid, liquid, or gas, or any form of energy, such as heat, sound, or radioactivity, to the environment at a rate faster than it can be dispersed, diluted, decomposed, recycled, or stored in some harmless form. So pollution is anything in the environment that does not belong there, whether it be a solid, liquid, or gas. Okay? Now, we would have defined pollution, but have you ever heard the term pollutant? No, you haven't? Alright, let's look at what is a pollutant. Now, a pollutant is a substance or energy introduced into the environment that has undesirable effects or adversely affects the usefulness of resources. So this is saying, let's use an example, the water in the trenches or drains. Now, if I if I am to dump a whole truckload of garbage into the water in the trenches and drain, knowing that the people in the environment use that water for household purposes, do you think they can use that water after I would have dumped the garbage there? No, they cannot. So that is what they mean when they say a pollutant is a substance that makes resources unuseful. Okay, let's look at the types of pollution. Now, pollution exists in many types. However, we're looking at four here. So the first one is land pollution. Now, land pollution is the dumping of garbage on the land, making it unuseful to man, meaning that we can't build our homes there, nor can we use the land for farming because it is filled with garbage. Next, we have air pollution. And air pollution would be if someone is burning a rice field, it would produce a whole lot of smoke, and that smoke would be in the air, making it difficult for us to breathe. So, that is an example of air pollution. We would have looked at an example of water pollution. Like I would have said, if I'm to dump garbage into the trenches in a community, that means the people in that community cannot use the water in the trench because the water would have been polluted. Next, we have noise pollution. Now, an example of noise pollution is having a lot of vehicles backed up on our roadways. No one is moving, but everyone is honking their horns so that the vehicle in front of them should move so they can move, even though they know that they can't move. So we would have identified four types of pollution, which would be land, air, water, and noise. Now, sources. Have you heard the word sources before? Yes, Jis. What do you think is sources? Yes, a source is something that would cause something to happen. Okay? Right now, let's look at some sources of pollution. As we said earlier, sources are things that cause pollution. It means where pollution would have come from. So pollution can come from the emissions from factories and vehicles, and this would be in the form of smoke being spewed from those little vents at the top of the factories, or smoke being spewed from the exhaust pipe of a vehicle. Next, we have industrial waste. Now, industrial waste, if you would have remembered, there was a factory in one of the pictures I would have shown you, and that factory is pumping some wastewater into a river. So that is an example of industrial waste. Next, we have agricultural practices. Now, an example of waste coming from agriculture would be farmers spraying their crops with pesticides or herbicides to kill those pests. That would then pollute the land, which would then pollute waterways under the earth. Next, we have domestic waste disposal. Now, domestic waste would be the waste coming from our homes. So, all of these are examples of the sources of pollution. Next, we will look at effects. Now, what is effects? Effects is what the pollution, let's say pollution, is doing to the people in an environment, right? It is affecting them in a certain way. So let's list some effects of pollution. Some effects of pollution is the formation of dust clouds. Now, for those who live at the roadside, when the when the place is extremely dry and vehicles are running on the road, do you see little clouds forming? Yes, that is an effect of pollution. The vehicles are causing the dust on the road to pick up into the atmosphere in the forms of clouds. Next, we have smog. Now, you're probably wondering what is smog. Now, smog is like gas. It is formed from the combustion of fossil fuel mixing with sunlight, right? And it's usually a white cloud, a thick white cloud that overcasts areas for miles and miles. Okay, next we have toxic gas emissions, right? And toxic gas emissions would come from vehicles and factories. Okay, next we have landslide. Landslide is an effect of pollution. Okay, so we would have identified 4 effects of pollution. Next, we are going to look at solutions for pollution. And when we say solutions, we mean things that we can do to prevent or stop pollution from occurring. Now, some solutions to pollution. I would have classified them into 3. There are things the energy sector can do to prevent pollution. There are things the agriculture sector can do to prevent pollution, and there are things the industrial sector can do to prevent pollution. However, I'm just going to give you a few examples of things that can be done to prevent pollutions, and the rest of information you can locate that in the Google Classroom. I would have already posted that note. Now, some solutions to pollution. Let's look at the energy sector first. Now, in the energy sector, they can use environmentally benign fuel sources. That would be things like biogas, right? And in the agricultural sector, they can adopt a less environmentally harmful pesticide. That means a pesticide that would not pollute our soil, which in turn would pollute our water supply that is flowing under the ground. And our industry sector can modify a production process to produce less waste. It means that in an industry, let's say they are preparing fruits to go and sell into the market. Now, they will take off the stalk and leaves of those fruits. Now, instead of dumping those stalks and leaves into the environment, they can grind that and they can make fertilizers for plants. Isn't that so? Good. Correct? Yes. So is everyone following? I'm happy that everyone is following. Now that we would have defined pollution, we would have defined pollutant, and that is something that goes. We will now have a reflective activity. And we will be looking at some causes and effect relationship of pollution. Now I would like you to complete this activity in your notebooks, and I would like you to take a picture of it and send it to me so I can mark it. Now thank you students for cooperating in today's lesson. However, before we leave or close our lesson, we have to recap what we would have learned today. Okay, so we would have defined the term pollution. Can anyone tell me what is pollution? Yes, Susan. Yes, Pollution is the dumping of garbage into the environment that makes resources in the environment unuseful to the people living in that environment. We would have also defined pollutants. And what did we see are pollutants? Yes, Michael. Pollutants are substances that cause pollution, right? Next, we would have a list the types of pollution. And what are those types, Erica? Land, correct. Air, correct. Noise, correct. And what else? Come on, there is one more. You can't remember? Okay, you would have identified three. But I want you to go home and read up on the four types of pollution, okay? Good. We would have also identified sources of pollution, and out of the four sources we would have looked at in class, can anyone give me one? Yes, Erica. Emissions from factories and vehicles. Thank you, Erica, that is correct. And after the sources, we would have looked at effects. And what are some effects of pollution? Can anyone tell me? Now, some effects of pollution is landslide. Very good. We would have also looked at some solutions to pollution. Can anyone give me one solution to pollution? Yes, Susan. Yes, the energy sector can use environmentally friendly fuel. Thank you. You were all paying attention and you were all good sport in today's lesson. And I would like to thank you for paying such good attention and being good students in our class today. However, before you leave, I would like you to collect your homework. Now here, I would have posted this in our classroom as well. This is a worksheet on pollution. It consists of a paragraph based on pollution. I would like you to read that paragraph and I would like you to fill in the answers to the question below. There is also another activity saying what we should and shouldn't do to prevent pollution. Now, thank you for being here with me and spending so much time learning about pollution. I will see you next time. Bye.